Good morning, everybody. Welcome. On behalf of GMIST, I'd like to welcome everybody here today. And our guest today, we're working with, sorry, people keeps popping up. We're working with Festival Events Ontario, and our host today is Debbie Mann. Over to you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another session with GMIST and Darlene and Nora. Thank you so much for including us again in this. Really appreciate it. Today's session is on AI, and our guest today is Emily Tell from IdeaTilt. Emily has over 20 years experience in local and global roles. She's been involved in technology and now she specializes in AI-powered operational efficiency. So she's going to bring her wisdom from a corporate perspective, from a small business perspective, and from an event perspective to this training today. So over to you, Emily. Welcome, and thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much. What a lovely introduction. And I also want to just start by saying I'm so delighted that I get to talk to this group. When I was in my 20s, I took a year and traveled Canada. I actually spent 3 months going, myself and my best friend got a pickup truck and we camped from Ontario all the way out east, saw all the provinces, saw how incredibly beautiful Eastern Canada is. My brother and his family actually just spent a month traveling across Eastern Canada, spent a week in Newfoundland and each of the other Eastern provinces. And the only regret that they have is that they said their camera couldn't pick up how beautiful it was, so they're going to have to go back, which I think is a fantastic thing to do. And honestly can't wait to go back myself as well. We typically go out east once a year, so I'm looking forward to it. So really excited to talk to this group, really passionate about helping you to leverage AI effectively and safely and securely. So we're going to talk about all of those things today, and I'm just going to share my screen and we'll start moving through them. So welcome to everybody. Debbie did such a great job introducing me, but a couple of other quick things. Again, I've traveled across Eastern Canada. I know how incredibly beautiful it is. I did spend about a decade in corporate Canada doing events. So again, really passionate and know how much work goes into a fantastic event and also any kind of tourism, right? When it goes seamlessly and smoothly, it's because an incredible amount of planning and care has gone into it at the back end. And as was said, lots of experience in technology and specifically in AI, and really passionate about helping people to understand what it actually is in a really simple, practical way so that you can use it effectively and securely. All right, so let's dig into what that looks like. So I don't think it's terribly surprising for anyone to understand that there's a lot of buzz around AI, that people are saying you really have to get on board. It's critical for your business. You need it to stay competitive. You're going to be more efficient, faster. You can automate things, save a lot of time, innovate more quickly, all of those great things. But, one of the questions is, like, how do I do that? And also, I hear from people, why do I feel a little bit afraid of it and what's going on with AI? Let's talk about that first. So, if you're feeling like, wow, this is a lot and it's a little bit scary, don't worry, you're not alone. In fact, statistically, about 79% of Canadians feel a little bit scared, a little bit off-put by AI. They're not really sure what to do with it. And that's because it's one of the most disruptive things that we've experienced in human history. They actually compare the amount of change and disruption to what we experienced in COVID, but actually twice as much change and disruption. So if you're feeling like, I'm not really sure about this, and there's a little bit of fear, that's completely normal and natural, and you are definitely not alone. So you can kind of do a quick, check in with yourself. Which one are you feeling like you are when it comes to AI? Are you the, ostrich is my spirit animal and I just kind of, I don't really know what to do with it? And, I'm waiting for it to pass over, or, you're going to take it on by storm and you're ready to go. Don't worry, you don't need to answer in the chat. You could just do a private little survey with yourself. But either one of those reactions is, again, completely normal and natural. And hopefully by the end of the session today, you're going to feel more like the ostrich there on the right, where you're looking forward to the future and know exactly what to do in order to be successful using this new technology. And fear, again, is really natural because of change, but it's not really just that. Change is not always the hardest part. It's resistance to change. And again, that's related to fear. So a little bit about why we feel that way. It's actually, like I said, because we're in the most disruptive time in human history, but also there's this little part in our brain called the amygdala. We call it also the lizard brain because it's a remnant of when we lived in the dinosaur time, when we would react to, for example, a Tyrannosaurus Rex chasing us down. Now, even though we don't have dinosaurs chasing us anymore, anytime that we face fear, our amygdala actually turns on, and that's what creates that fight, flight, fear response. And that's what sometimes people experience with new technology is that sense of fear. Even though it's not a dinosaur, our body reacts to it in the same way, where a whole bunch of adrenaline drops into our system. It's harder for us to think logically, harder for us to get to the next step. So knowing that that's completely natural and normal is important, and then also knowing how to get past it. So the way to move past fear and into acceptance, and then actually using that new technology or doing that thing that you might feel a little bit uncomfortable about, is to first of all just understand it, which again, we're going to get you there today by giving you lots of great information about AI in realistic terms, and then starting to just act on it. So leaving today with some habits or new things that you can try out, positive communication about it with yourself and with others, and then building in some happy habits. So these are habits that you're starting to use that new thing or do that new thing more consistently every day and build some behavioral changes. All right, so information first. Let's simplify AI because there is a lot of media out there, there's a lot of noise, and it's hard to tell what the truth is. So let's simplify AI by just giving you the bare bones, what you need to know. So, how many of you have a car? Probably everybody has a car. Yeah, I see it one hand there. So many of us have a car or have driven a car, or even if we don't, we've been a passenger for sure. And I'll be honest, most of us don't know how to do a lot of the things to our car. I, for example, don't know how to swap out an engine on my car. I know how to change my tires. I know how to change my oil. I'll be honest, I drive in and I give the person money and I say, "Can you please change my oil?" That's how I usually do it. But I don't know the mechanics of my car. I don't know how to boost my air conditioning, how to replace my brakes, how to do a lot of things on my car. But I do know how to drive it. I know how to drive it very well, and I've been doing it a long time. And this is an important metaphor when it comes to AI because we're all very good at driving our cars, but we don't need to know the guts of how to do every single thing to our car. You just need to know how to drive it. And that's the same thing for artificial intelligence. You don't need a degree in machine learning. You don't need to go back to school, for weeks, months, even hours. You just need to know how to drive the car. So understand how to use it efficiently and effectively so that you can get from point A to point B more quickly with better results. Very similar to driving a car. And you also need to know the rules of the road. So how to do that safely and securely. So you're keeping yourself and your passengers safe, yourself and your information safe when it comes to AI, and also making sure that you're following the rules of the road when it comes to other interactions as well. So what is AI actually? Right? There's a lot of misinformation about this. AI is just a software program. It's a really big software program that's been trained on the entire history of the internet, which is why it costs billions of dollars to make one of these, because there's a lot of data or information that goes into it. But it's just a software program, and it has a set of instructions, which are rules and processes that it has to follow, that it's been trained on. It is not human at all. Sometimes we talk about it as if it were human and we think about it as if it were human, but that's actually a language issue because it's a lot easier for us to say, oh, my AI thinks that we should have steak and mushrooms for dinner because that's what's in the fridge. It's easier for us to say, my AI thinks, than for us to say, my AI took a data input from an image and from the text that I provided, then it used an algorithm and predictive analytics to provide an output of what we should have for dinner. No one's ever going to say that. It's easier to say AI thinks, but it doesn't actually think. It just takes in information and it gives out information based on software programming. What it can do is what it's been trained to do within the rules that it's been given. So you can do these things and you cannot do these things. And it uses pattern recognition and pattern prediction to do all of those things. Even the natural language processing, which is its ability to speak to us or use human language to interact with us, is just pattern recognition. That's it. It doesn't actually have true language. It just uses language as data inputs, uses a predictive language model, and then talks to us. What it can't do, it cannot think or reason. It cannot create anything that is original, creative, or divergent, and it cannot do critical thinking and problem solving. What it can do is take your inputs, so your prompt or your question, your original thought, and then it can use a ton of data to create an answer based off of that information. And then it needs you, again, to validate that information. So that's the human superpower. Again, AI is not human and it can't do human things. So we need humans in the equation to make sure that we're getting really great original ideas. Again, AI is based on the entire history of the internet, which was created by humans. So it actually needs humans to continue to have original thought, creative thought, and to work with it for the best outcomes. I like to think of AI as like a little chef. You're going to see that I like metaphors because it makes it a lot simpler to understand how these things work. So AI, just like a little chef, is going to take your instructions, right? I'd like you to bake me an apple pie. So that's in AI language, it's called a prompt. You might think of it as a question or instructions, but it's going to take that information from you. Then it's going to create a response based on your instructions and on its programming. Again, it's not human. It's just going to use software to do that. It's going to provide that response to you, update the response based on your feedback. For example, you might say, no, I don't really want it that way. Can you do it this way? Can you use these colors instead? Can you summarize? Can you add more context? All of those good things. You're going to provide more coaching, and then it's going to update its future responses based on your feedback. And it's really important to get those prompts really nice and detailed so that you get the best result. So for example, if I told an AI to put together all of the things for an apple pie, create an apple pie, it might just actually put all of the ingredients out there, but it wouldn't actually make an apple pie, right? You would need very specific instructions. It needs to be browned. It needs to be cooked all the way through, right? You need to think about all the things that you want it to accomplish and then be very, very clear with your instructions. That's the basics of AI. Great instructions, get you a great output, and then you can coach it for more outputs or results. Agentic AI is another kind of buzzword you might have heard out there, and it's much more simple than you might think it is. So agentic AI means many agents. So I think of this like a restaurant. Usually you're going to have something called a GPT at the very front end. This is ChatGPT, for example, is has the ability to have natural language processing, which again, in human terms, means it can talk to you in normal human speak. So you can interact with it and just ask for things, and you're going to get things back in English or whichever language you've chosen. And it's just going to be conversational. So usually, just like going to a restaurant, you're going to talk to that person in normal human language and say, I would like you to create whatever it is. I would like to order a steak medium rare and a spinach salad, and I would like a delicious milkshake, and I'd like an espresso. Okay. And now the waiter's not going to go back to the kitchen and make that themselves. The waiter is going to order that from the people in the kitchen, right? So you're going to have your grill chef make the steak, your salad chef make the salad, you're going to have your desserts chef make your milkshake, and your barista make the espresso. Each one of those people are very good at doing a specific task. They've been trained on it, they know the rules, they know the processes, and they do it really well. Agentic AI is very much like that, where you're going to interact with the waiter, right? The GPT, which has the human language interaction, and ask it for you what you want. And then it's going to work with the little agents in the back end, which each are good at different things to put that whole order together and then deliver it to you. The same way that a waiter would deliver a meal to your table, the GPT is going to deliver the result to you. So oftentimes the GPT is where you're going to speak in natural language, and then the little agents in the back end are trained on very specific things. So one might be really great at financial analysis. One might be really great at marketing and communications. Another one might be really great at planning or sustainability. It can be all kinds of different things, but they all work together to bring one unified result to you. In fact, many times you won't even know that it's agentic. All you know is that you're asking for something and you're getting the results. So it works just like a regular big AI, which we talked about, the one chef. It's going to take your prompt. It's going to work with those agents in the back end to answer you and give you a good result based on what you've asked for, provide that response, update the response, and then give you future responses that are better. So if you think of it like a restaurant where you have to be very specific about what you want and you're going to get the right outputs, agents and agentic AI is a lot like that. And very similar to a restaurant, if it gets your order wrong, you're going to say, actually, I ordered a steak. Thanks very much, but this is a hamburger. Can you try that again? And it's going to learn from that experience and give you a better result. Also, like those little chefs in any restaurant, an AI needs really great ingredients, right? So in a restaurant, if they get bad vegetables at the beginning of the day, the meal isn't going to be great because you've got bad ingredients. Same thing for artificial intelligence. The better the data or information you can give it, the more specific and relevant the information it is that it's going to give back to you. So there's a saying in technology, garbage in, garbage out, right? With data, that's very true. Data is garbage in, garbage out. So you want to make sure you give it really great data, and then it can give you really great results. And that's prompts. It can also be websites. It can be documents. It can be a variety of things that you feed to it to help it to give you better results. And if you haven't really tried AI, I'm going to give you some tips on how to use it really effectively. So AI is actually one of the best collaborators. It's actually what they recommend that you should be using it for is as a collaborator. Because guess what? It is available anytime, day or night. You can work with it. If you wake up, in the middle of the night and say, oh man, I've got a great idea for an event or for this sustainable tourism I want to do. I want to talk through it with someone, you can actually talk through it with an AI. It will help you to generate ideas, edit, expand, or contract ideas, experiment, chat back and forth about something, do deep research, or even dig into the market so you can better understand it. So they actually recommend that AI is not intended to replace people. It never has been. It's intended to augment people, to help you to create things more quickly, more effectively, to really get big research and market analysis faster so you can make better decisions. But it's all to augment the human. So how do you use it effectively? Prompting is the key to using AI. So prompt is just a fancy way of saying question. And oftentimes when we first start using AI, we just put, a question in there. I'm going to give you a great example. I was at a conference in Toronto a few months ago, and I ran into a woman who said, "Oh, I used AI and it's garbage. Gave me a horrible answer. It didn't work at all." And I said, "Okay, well, tell me more about what you did." And she said, "Oh, well, I'm trying to, put together an event and I need some hotels. So I just said, give me average prices for hotels in Toronto." And it came back with this result of like $59 to $850. And she's like, that can't be right. That's just garbage. And I said, well, it's actually because the prompt needs to be much more specific. Think of it this way. An AI is just like a brand new employee that has never worked in your industry, has never done anything like this before. You have to be very, very specific about exactly what you want that person to do, if it's an intern or a new hire, the same way that you have to do with an AI. So we sat down and we created a brand new prompt, which was, I need hotel costs in this section of Toronto within these blocks during these dates. I need hotel rooms that have at least a queen size bed, that are non-smoking, that include Wi-Fi, that include breakfast. Right? So we put all of those parameters together and then we got much better results because we were much clearer in our prompt. And you get even better results when you use three things: role, context, and then request. So if you say your role is you are an expert event planner with a lot of experience researching and finding amazing hotels with fantastic prices and great experiences that are 5 stars. Context is we're looking to create an event during these dates, during these times that focuses on this particular topic. And then the request is what you want it to do with that information. Be really specific. I want a table that shows the top 10 suggested hotels with the following columns: the name of the hotel, price per night, amenities, and also a URL where I can find out more information around booking, and another column for contact name. And it will create that table for you based on your information and what it can find on the internet. So use those three things: role, context, request. Be super duper specific, and then you're going to get much better results. And again, AI is intended to work with you. So think of it with a 20-60-20 rule. So the first 20% is you thinking about, what do I actually want? What do I actually need? And then documenting that. So creating a really clear, specific prompt of exactly what you want. The middle portion is where the AI is going to do that work for you. So it's going to generate a response based on that information that you've provided. And then you've got to come back to it. So the last 20% is you validating that information. So this is new to humans because before AI, when we were doing that middle part, we would automatically just validate and correct our results, right? So as you're typing, you're going to automatically start to correct your spelling mistakes. You're going to start to format it. You're going to say, that's not quite right. I think I need to research over here. So that part the AI is now doing. So we need to bring the human back in to make sure that that validation happens, to make sure it's accurate, that it did the things that you wanted it to do, and that you're getting the results that you expected. And that's an ongoing iterative kind of process. Okay, so that's the basics of AI and kind of the gist of how to get started on some of the basics. But here are some other things that you really need to know to get started in AI and your business right away. So one of the most important things is a strategy. Now, I'm not saying you need like a 17-page document. What they recommend is pick one clear business objective that you want to get to. This is important because statistically, 95% of AI implementations fail. So if you're looking to use AI across your business, you need to be super strategic about it. Have a clear business problem that you're trying to resolve and a clear business objective of what you want to do with it. That's really important. And then regardless of whether it's for your business or for yourself, there's four other things that you really need to keep in consideration when you start to use AI. So data and infrastructure. In simple terms, again, that whole garbage in, garbage out. What information do you need and are you going to be using? And also, where is that information, right? Do you have it on a Google Drive? Do you have it in your OneDrive? Where is that information sitting that you're going to be using with the AI? And that's also important when you get into privacy and security, which we're going to talk about a little bit further. But you want to make sure that the information that you're giving to the AI stays private and secure if it's confidential. You also want good processes and procedures. So the same way that a human needs to know what to do, if you want to automate things with AI, the AI also needs processes and procedures to know the rules of the road that you're expecting it to stick within. And then you also need knowledge and skills. So training yourself on AI, this is a great first start. You can also actually even ask the AI to create a little mini training program on how to use it more effectively, and it will actually create that for you. And that can be a fantastic way to just get some basic knowledge and skills and start to use it, which is one of the best ways, I think, to learn is just by doing. All right, so start with one big pain point. Don't try to fix the entire world. Pick a pain point that you want to fix with AI. In fact, I recommend try one today. We're going to actually look at some prompts at the end of the session that you can start using right away. But when you're thinking about it, think about what is the one thing that you really need to solve, or you really need help with, you hate doing, you might need to hire somebody for it, and maybe you don't have the funding to do that, so you really need help with it. So think about what that big pain point is and start there. And then you can always add on additional things as you learn and become more comfortable. Again, think about and prioritize privacy and security. This is really important, especially when you get into using customer information or any kind of proprietary or company confidential information, might even be vendor pricing or other things that you need to keep confidential. So make sure you prioritize privacy and security. I really recommend that you do not use DeepSeek and Quen. Those are two types of AI that are out there that have had some significant security breaches, and there are also some security concerns around using them. Ones that are known to be more safe and secure are ChatGPT, which also has Copilot that's related to it. There's also Gemini, which is another great one. Grok or XAI is another one that's on the market. Claude, there's a few of them that are out there that prioritize privacy and security more effectively. The other big thing to know is that nothing is free when it comes to AI. So you can have access to a public AI, right? So there's the publicly available version of ChatGPT. But if you use the publicly available version, the non-paid version, you are giving that information to the AI and it will train the large language model. Again, let me just kind of bring that back to human speak. What that means is any information that you put into a free version of an AI immediately becomes part of the World Wide Web. It's just the same as putting that information on a website for everyone to see. So you want to be really careful around what kind of information you put into a free version of an AI. You should never put financial information, customer or client information, anything that's supposed to be confidential and needs to stay confidential should never go into a free AI. A paid private AI is what you want to go for. So this can be the $20 version of ChatGPT. It can be the Copilot license that automatically comes with a Microsoft license. It can also be, there's versions of Gemini that you can pay for as well, which is the Google version. Those ones that are paid for have two things that you're paying for. You're paying for a better version of an AI, so you're going to get a lot more functionality. It's going to work better, faster, all those great things, but you're also paying for that privacy. And that's really important because what that means is the information that you put in there stays private to you. You do need to still double check, especially if you're buying apps on the App Store. Always check that the information is going to be private. And then you want to make sure that the settings are set so that things are private as well. But again, the first step is making sure that you're going with a paid version and that it is clearly something that is private. The next thing is keep it simple. There are thousands, and I'm not even kidding, there are thousands of AI applications that are out there. You don't need to know all of them. I would say use one really good one and use it well. There's courses out there that say, learn 30 AIs in 30 days. Very honestly, you don't need 30. You probably only need one. Most of the clients and people that I talk to only need one really good AI for most of the types of things that they want to do. So limit your AI solutions. And I recommend usually start with one that's already connected, like with software that you already know and use and love. So if you're already using Microsoft, Copilot is Microsoft's version of ChatGPT. If you're already using Google, use Gemini, and it already can connect into your Google workspace. So you're going to understand it and be able to use it a lot more effectively and a lot more quickly. And then as you're ready and you want to add some more customization or complexity, then you can start to add agents or specialize or customize, and you can look for AIs that solve a very specific niche problem. But very honestly, most of the time, those ones are the ones that you're going to need. And you want to limit it partly because, we're limited on time. We can't learn every single AI that's out there, but also anytime that you're adding more and more software, you're also adding complexity and some privacy and security risks around where that data is going, who has access to it, and what's remaining confidential. You also want to plan the right human governance or oversight. You can see my little chef here, and this is actually the prompt or a portion of the prompt that I used to create my little chef. And I highlighted there that in red that it should have its left arm up. Now you might see that it got it wrong. It actually, the little robot has its right arm up. So even though the prompt was very specific, AI actually got it wrong. Now, is this going to destroy my company? No, this is not a huge error that I need to worry about, but it is a good example that AI gets things wrong. So you do need to validate it. And again, I think about it like AI is my new intern or my new employee. I want to give them very clear expectations, very clear processes and requests, but I'm always going to double check their work before I send it to a customer. I'm going to make sure that they got it right and going to coach them along the way if they got something incorrect. So the same thing is true with AI. You do still need to have that human governance. And a nice, easy way to think about it is the lower the risk, right? Right arm, left arm robot is not going to make or break me or my company or my event. So I'm not going to worry about it as much, and the robot can do most of the work, or the AI. And then the higher the risk, the more that human needs to be involved, right? So if it's, for example, something that's financial, where you need to make sure that the quote is absolutely correct, or there's something else that's much higher risk, you're going to want to make sure that there's a human much more involved in that loop. And then just like an intern or just like a new hire, you want to coach your AI because again, the AI is only as smart as what it's been trained on, and it will only do what you specifically asked it to do. So think of it like working with an intern. You want to hire the right one, right? So pick a good AI that's private and secure, all that great stuff. And then keep human and coaching in the loop. So prompt it, provide it with supporting documentation whenever you can so that it has more information to make good outputs. Validate those outputs for accuracy and then repeat your successes. A nice example of this is if I had a brand new hire and I needed them to create a PowerPoint for the CEO of my company. I wouldn't just say, hey, go create a PowerPoint for my CEO, right? I would say, go and create a PowerPoint. Use this template with these brand colors. Keep it within 5 pages. Use bullet points. Be very clear. Summarize all of your ideas, and then show me your work. And then if they got it wrong, or if there's something that needs to be massaged, I would again provide them with that coaching. So think of it in that way. Really clear processes, really clear expectations, but also check it and validate it, and then coach it and tweak it along the way. All right, so that was lots of information about what AI is, how it works. Now we're going to just look at some common business prompts that use those 3 steps that I talked about, right? You've got your role, your context, and your request. So I'm just going to walk you through these, and these are ones you can easily and quickly type into an AI. And again, the more information the AI has, the better. So for the first one, the role is you are a marketing expert that specializes in festivals and events, right? So I've told it the type of role that it has. And again, that role is important because it tells the AI the types of information it should be looking at and the types of things it should be doing. The context is a little bit about us and our company. We believe in fun, safe, family-friendly, interactive, and sustainable events. It could also be sustainable tourism, whatever it makes sense for your particular company. In the context area, the more context you can provide, the better. So this is where I would also put things like reference the following website to better understand our brand. If I have a document that I can upload, that's a brand template, or our tourism flyers from the previous years, or something where the AI can take that data and better understand what it is that we're asking for, the better. And I say understand, right? That's a human word, but essentially it's going to ingest the data. And then from a code perspective, the algorithm is going to say that, look at that information, ingest that information. And then with predictive analytics, it can say, based on this, you should have this. So the more context we can give it, the better. And then my request again is going to be nice and specific. Create a 6-month content plan for social media tailored to X festival. The plan should be tailored to Instagram. I just said Instagram, but it could be Instagram, Facebook, it could be whatever social media you want. It could be all of them. And again, you want to tell it very specifically. Tone is upbeat and friendly. If you want specific branding guidelines, any images you're going to use should incorporate people that look happy or delighted. It should include diverse people. It should include children as well as adults, right? You want to be super specific. Include monthly themes, a weekly posting schedule with 2 per week, a visual, again, I said visual, but that's where you might want to be much more clear, caption suggestions and hashtags for each. And then within about 5 minutes, you're going to have a 6-month content plan with all of those things. Then that 20% comes back in where you want to validate it, tweak it, see if it's right, and coach it so that you're getting better outputs overall. One other little trick that I like to just pause here and say is there's something called a context window in AI, which is essentially that little bar that you use to type information into. If you're typing information and it's giving you results and you're talking back and forth, what you don't see with the human eye is all of the code that's being written in the background. You can actually ask the AI to show you the code. You can ask for chain of thought reasoning if you want, and some of the AIs will actually show you the code that's being written as you're asking it questions. But what happens is that code builds up in the background, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of it. So if you get to a point where your AI is no longer giving you good results, you're not getting good answers from it, what's happened is there's so much code in the back end that the AI will get confused. Again, confused is a human word. It just means that there's way too much code for it to read through to give you a really good result. So that's when you want to create a new chat and start a new conversation, and you're going to get much, much better results. Okay, so there's the marketing example that we went through. You can also use it, honestly, for pretty much anything where you think, I wish someone could help me with this. You can ask the AI, can you help me with this? And it will tell you. You can even ask it to provide you with a really clear prompt so that you've got a good starting place. And each one of the different AIs, you can even ask it, what is the best way for me to prompt you? Provide me with clear step-by-step process and a good example of how to do that. So some other examples I've got here are market sales, right? So you can use it as a financial analyst to better understand your sales trends. This is where if you can upload a document, again, you want to make sure that you're using a private AI if it's got any private financial information, but you could upload that and ask it to think clearly and critically. Also, you can tell the AI to check its work to make sure that it's accurate, and then provide a summary of purchasing trends by location, size event, tourism, adventure, whatever it might be, and even provide suggestions of how you can increase sales and a detailed description of why, how it came up with that answer. You can also use it for planning, right? So in this one, on the bottom right here, you've got a festival that's planned and detailed. You want it to reference a specific document, and then you can actually have it summarize that document for you. In this particular example, you're asking it to create a compact 3-day festival program that is for X number of attendees. It includes all of the following things. So if you've got a big document about how you've planned out a particular tourism adventure or an event, you can have it summarize that into a nice 3-page document, into a 1-page summary, into an event post on Instagram. You can use a big document and have it actually create multiple different kinds of assets for you for planning internally, as well as for how you communicate to customers. You can even use it to create a checklist for your volunteers or for people on event day to make sure that there's event readiness, or for your musicians, whatever it is that you need help with, the AI will be able to produce that based on your information. And then again, you can also use it for market analysis. So if you want to see what other events are available in your region, in your province, if you want to compare yourself to other types of events that are similar, or if you want to do planning for next year and want to get a better understanding of the types of events that you've run specifically for your organization or across the province, you can also ask it to provide you with that information with a nice table that shows date, location, theme, number of attendees, demographics, costs per person, all of those different things, and even analyze which social media posts were most effective to drive traffic to that event or to that clickable link or that tourism adventure, whatever it might be. All right. And this is where I'm going to pause and say, that's a lot of information. I'm very passionate about helping people to understand this and use it effectively. So please do feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn if you have questions. Also follow me. I always post a video once a week on really simple, easy ways to better understand AI. Happy to have you check those out, and also happy to connect at any time if you have additional questions that you need help with. So I wanted to make sure we had some good time available for any questions, and I'm going to hand it back over to Debbie to open up to the floor.
Great. I don't see any questions just yet, but I have a question. So when you said, Copilot or Gemini
Yes.
or ChatGPT, I know ChatGPT is like $20 a month or something, but is there a preference? Because I was playing around with all 3 of them. And I was kind of surprised that the results were different.
Sure. Yeah. So each of the AIs are trained on different data. So they're good at different things. Let me give you an example. ChatGPT is really good at conversations and at content writing, and it's been trained on that. And what training means is not that you sit AI in a room and provide training. It means that you give it a ton of data on a specific topic so that it better can produce results around that thing. So ChatGPT is really great at that. It's also really great for something called study mode, where it actually helps users to study for tests, study for exams, certifications, things like that, because it doesn't give you the answer. It actually helps you to get the answer yourself through critical thinking. So ChatGPT is great at lots of things. It specializes in creative writing, content design, and content outputs. Copilot is actually a version of ChatGPT. So they actually take ChatGPT and then they've trained it on the entire Microsoft software suite. So it uses the same functionality as ChatGPT, but then it's trained it on all of those softwares so it can give you better results within Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, right? Their whole suite of softwares. And then Gemini is the Google version. Gemini is really great at, well, I'm sure everyone knows what Google Maps is, right? You might have used it. Sure. So Google has a ton of data around maps, around location, and any kind of logistics. So Gemini is really great if you need to do any kind of mapping and logistics because it's trained on all of the Google Maps data. So for example, if you are creating a tourism adventure and you want to visit multiple different spots within a certain segment of the province, for example. So there's a great tourism place here locally in Northern Ontario, which is the Halliburton Wolf Reserve. And they have outings there that you can go on where you can go to, for example, a local brewery, and then you go to a local restaurant and you go on a hike, right? And you do these different activities throughout the day. You could use Gemini to actually help you to plan some of those logistics. So which things should you visit first? How far are they? What's the travel time? Right? And it will actually help to plot out those logistics when it comes to travel, distance, planning of multiple different things at different times from just from a mapping and time and travel perspective. So it's really great at that. And then Gemini is also really great at anything inside of the Google Workspace because it's also been trained on Google Workspace items. So that's your, for example, your Google Drive, where you can share your documents, your Google Gmail, right? All of the Google Suite products. It's been trained on that. It's also really great at images, and it's also really great at study mode too, right? It actually offers different things, which are more image-based. If you wanted to actually study for an exam, a test, or a certification, it's really great at that. Grok, or XAI, has been trained on a ton of research, scientific research specifically. So if you are doing scientific research, which probably isn't this group, but if you are someone who needs to do scientific research, that's what it specializes in. So you can actually use Grok for that. And here's the cool part too, is that if you don't know what the AI is good at and what it specializes in, you can just ask and it will actually tell you. These are the things I'm good at. This is how you can use me. These are the best types of prompts to use, and specifically how you can prompt me for the best results.
I would have never even thought of that, to ask it what it's good at.
Yeah, it'll tell you. It's really cool, actually.
And just real quick, because there's another question here. A few years ago, I did a workshop and part of it was AI. It was in December of 23, and I was trying to create a marketing plan for something. And the instructors told me to ask AI to get to know me. And it just gave, and my product, and it gave me a list of questions and I spent hours filling it in. And then when I popped in some information that I wanted it to convert business letters into business to consumer, I was shocked at how accurate it was in converting six, marketing letters into my language. And that was because I
Nice.
spent the time training it. So I guess it'll pick up on everything that you're putting in and keep it. And maybe the value of picking one AI because it'll understand your language and your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's where context is really important. So, for example, for my company, I have a brand guide that I've put together. It's about 14 pages. It says things like my mission, my vision, what our brand stands for, the types of services that we provide. It even has these are our brand colors and these are the types of images. This is the tone that we like to use. So it has everything about the company in it. And then I also have certain documents that I've personally written, so they're written in my voice. And when I want the AI to create something for the company, I actually use those as context. I'll say, reference my company brand guide and my voice guide to write these sets of emails or to write this marketing campaign material so that it will have the look and feel that I want for the company, and it will also sound a lot more like me than AI generated content.
It's fascinating. It's
It
just
is
fascinating.
fascinating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. PJ has a question. If everyone uses a private AI, then how is it able to provide valid info?
So I think what you mean is how is it able to provide information if your information is remaining private? I think that that's
PJ
what
just
you
Yeah,
unmuted.
let me just explain that a little more. I mean, I was quite concerned in the beginning, and when my team was actually using ChatGPT without the Teams version, and
Yeah.
so there's a lot of private information that was getting out there. Now we switched to Teams, and I guess this is a two-part question. Once I switch to Teams, is it all of that private, or whatever we had previous to that is out there?
So you're using Microsoft Teams Copilot?
Well, watching the pro version, which for ChatGPT, which they call Team, whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's now giving us our privacy. That's, I guess, one question. But the one that I'm asking here is, if everybody was on that privacy, right? And if it's machine learning and it's getting data from me to share to help with other people, what if everybody was on privacy, right? Will information not be as accurate? Like you were saying, give me information about festivals with these numbers, that, and what am I expecting, kind of thing. Is it able to, how was it able to learn accurate information or updated information if everybody just decided to turn on privacy?
Right. So I'm going to unpack that and I'm going to hope that I'm answering your question correctly.
Thanks.
So let me first of all start by saying for ChatGPT, the paid version, it is important to make sure that you have the settings in the back end
That's right.
set so that it will delete your information after so long
Okay.
and that it's security first. So there is
Yeah.
some built-in security, but there is a setting you must turn on to make
Mm,
sure that it's not using any of your information to train the large language model and
right.
that your information is deleted after a certain period of time.
Okay.
So just double check that from a
We'll
safety
double check that.
perspective.
I think that's on. But yes, I'll double check that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then from an accuracy of information perspective, that's where your context is going to be really important. So if you, for example, have multiple different people in your company asking for information about a specific event, that's where it's going to be really important that they're all providing it with really clear context about your event and your company so that the AI can take that information in order to provide a better result for you. So if I say, for example, you know, create a 3-day plan for an event with
Mhm.
8,000 employees in Fredericton with 2 music stations and 5 food vendors. It's going to go out to the World Wide Web to pull that information in. But if you give it context on your specific event and your
Mm,
specific company, whether it's
mm,
tourism or events or what have you, then it will tailor it to your specific details. Your
mm,
specific details stay private, and it
mm,
will just go out to the World Wide Web for publicly available information to pull into that plan.
Okay. So is AI grabbing it not just from other AI learning or is it just the web, or kind of overall everything? Where is
So
it pulling its information from?
sure. So a large language model AI like ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok or Claude, any one of those big AIs has taken the entire history of the internet
Mm,
and consumed it. So
wow.
it is literally everything in the World Wide Web. And as new websites are created and new content is
Mm,
created, it ingests that too. So it's constantly consuming data that's being created on the internet at all times.
it's insane, especially when you ask it, and it's giving you the answer before you're finished. I mean, that's how quick that is. It's just amazing.
Yep, and that's the joy of predictive analytics. It's predicting what it thinks your what the next word the
Hmm.
predictive algorithm believes, and again, believes is a human word, but
Mm.
what the mathematical algorithm predicts is going to be the next word based on the structure of the human language. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're very welcome.
I don't see
Great
any other
question.
questions, but if anybody does, you can unmute and just jump in. Is there any value? There's so many, like you said, Claude, and I know there's Jasper, and there's all different kinds of AI tools out there. I've recently seen that there's something, I don't know why I saw it, but for legal, for
Yes,
lawyers, and I'm sure there's things for accountants and
yes.
engineers. But for the layperson, like how many apps or AI tools should we be using? Or just like you said, focus on one and expand as we get better at it?
Yeah, I would say focus on one and expand from there. Usually one good AI is going to be able to do pretty much everything for you. And also, as you use that AI more and more, it's going to learn more and more about you and be able to tailor its results more to you. Um, and then you can layer on from there. So if you need a really specific AI that's been trained on something like legal data or construction data or like something like that that's very specific and very niche, then you might want to look at an AI that's been trained on that data. So it's going to give much clearer, better results for that specific information. The ones that I have found the most useful when it comes to marketing and writing of content are ChatGPT. I actually use Copilot just because I'm a Microsoft shop, but it is ChatGPT anyways, just based on Microsoft. So I use Copilot for honestly almost everything that I do. And it's been able to produce massive research papers for me, financial analytics, marketing campaigns. It's helped me to draft emails. It's helped me to even finish, assignments that have been provided to me either in school or from customers that are looking for specific things. So as a constant companion and colleague that I can run ideas through, I use it all the time. I also use Canva AI. So I'm sure you're probably all familiar with Canva. Canva AI is also fantastic because the other thing I can do is I can actually give it a document. So I'll give you an example. I was creating a cybersecurity course. I put all of the course content together, created an AI generated video course for it, and then I wanted just a nice clean infographic about passwords and security protection. So I just fed that course information to Canva AI. And again, within a few minutes, it was able to create a little one-page infographic on safety and security with passwords based on the information that I'd put in the course. So that's also a great thing that you can use for festivals and events. If you wanted like a nice clean one pager, if you wanted an infographic, if you wanted even statistics that you want to report back to a board or to stakeholders or volunteers or other things around how many people attended and how much was consumed and how much, what your sustainability metrics are for how much, your zero waste metrics, if you want to include that in there. Anything that you want, something that's summarized in a nice visually appealing way, Canva AI is a really great tool to use as well. So that's the one that I've added on. And I did that as I needed it. So when I hit a barrier where the big AI really wasn't doing what I needed it to do, that's when I started to lean on another AI. Another one that's great is Sora, which is through ChatGPT. It is their video and image creation AI, and it can produce really quick videos for you also based on a prompt. So you can have a little 30-second video that uses imagery from your festival, your event, from previous festivals and events, from again, Nora, I'm going to use your backdrop, beautiful backdrops, images from your particular sector that you're trying to target or geography. And it can actually use that to create little mini videos that you can use on Instagram, Facebook, and other marketing places.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. There's always, always so much information, but for me personally, I know that you put it into, I don't feel so anxious anymore. I know I can focus on just one tool. And I do have one other question. So
Yes.
because I use Office 365, Copilot is private.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Just wanted to clarify that. Okay.
Yeah. It's actually one of the reasons I like Copilot is it's privacy first AI. So I know that my information is being protected. Obviously you still have to have good cybersecurity controls and stuff like that. But when it comes to the AI, I know that anything that I put into that AI, when it has the little protected symbol, it's not going any further than inside of my own Microsoft infrastructure.
Excellent. Thank you again, Emily. Thank you, thank you, thank you on behalf of Festivals and Events Ontario. Thank you on behalf of GMIST, and look forward to other events or other training that you're doing in the future. Again, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you again in, I think it's a few weeks. So take care.